Hello friend, this is your friend Professor Iqbal here. Once again I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel My Grammar Classes. In this episode of lecture we will particularly discuss the usage of active and passive voice. How to change voice, we will particularly focus on that itself. Now before we could go to active and passive voice, let us understand what is important in active voice and what is important in the passive voice. As its name suggests, in active voice what is important for us is the doer of an action. What is important for us in active voice is the doer of an action. So the doer of an action is the person who does something or a thing by which does something. So doer of an action is very important for us in active voice. For example, she writes a letter. So here she is the doer of an action. They go there. Here they is what is important for us. They is doer of an action. We invite her. We doer of an action. So you can have many such examples. So what is important in the passive voice? In passive voice, what is important for us is receiver of an action. Okay, activity or receiver of an action is very important for us. Now, most of the time the receiver of action will be an object. For example, I wrote a letter. So here I is not important for us, but later is important. I wrote a letter. She gives me something. So here something is very important or me is very important. So he sent her some gifts. So some gifts is important here. So what is important in the active voice? Doer of an action is important in the active voice, and what is important in the passive voice? Receiver of an action or activity is important in the passive voice. Moreover, let us understand how to change an active voice into passive voice. Now before we could really take some examples, what is important for us to understand at this point of time is, if the object is present in the active voice, then only it is possible for us to change that sentence into passive voice. If the object is not present, unless it is an imperative sentence, then it is not possible for us to change. So what is important for us to change? The first important thing is object. The presence of object in active voice is very important. The second one, before we change, we need to see the tense of that sentence. Okay, you have to maintain the tense of that sentence, to which tense it belongs. Suppose if the active voice sentence is in the present tense, then you must change it into present tense by using tense indicator. We will see that with some examples. So you have to maintain the tense. If you go for passive voice, you must maintain the tense of that particular sentence. So the first important thing is that what you need, object is very important, and second important thing is that you need to see whether you have maintained the tense of that sentence or not. And there are some third important thing is, there are some pronoun changes. There are some pronoun changes which occur there that you need to take care of. Let us take some example. She writes a letter. If you see here, she writes a letter, this belongs to simple present tense. So this will be changed like this into passive voice. She writes a letter is written by her. So what actually we have done here, we have taken object in the beginning, and then what we have done, used past participle of write, that is written. She writes a letter is written by her. She gives me something. Something is given to me by her. He helps her. She is helped by her. So this is some example of simple present tense. Now let us see what we can do about present continuous tense. Okay, he is writing a letter. Now what happens in passive voice, whenever there is verb ing and object is present, what you have to do in passive voice, we use being, because it is in progress action, that is the activity which is going on. So for in progress or going on activity, we generally use being in the passive voice. So the example, he is writing a letter, we can change this into passive voice like this: a letter is being written by him. Next example, she is typing a letter. So this can be changed into passive voice like this: A letter is being typed by her. She is typing a letter. A letter is being typed by her. He is watching a movie. He is watching a movie. A movie is being watched by him. He is watching a movie. A movie is being watched by him. Okay, like this you can make many sentences that belongs to passive voice. Now let us go ahead and take some examples of present perfect tense. He has written a letter. He has written a letter. A letter has been written by him. She has cooked something. Something has been cooked by her. They have cut the trees. The trees have been cut by them. The trees have been cut by them. So this is very important for you to understand. See, active and passive voice, they are not at all difficult, but we make it difficult ourselves because we don't practice this. Otherwise we don't have enough knowledge about that. Most important thing for you to understand here is, if there is object in active voice, then only it will be changed into passive voice. Otherwise it is not possible for us to make passive voice without an object. So object is very important. And as we know, we have already discussed it in the beginning of this lecture, as in active voice subject is important, door open,